It's the Slam Dunk.
Yes, and National and its mates, they want the super highway effectively connecting Auckland to Whangarei. They want it built now. Labour wants to talk more about it. And it's now being done at lightning speed due to the fact that it's being seriously prioritised by this government. Big time. I've always said anything's possible with the government because they've got the balance sheet and they've got the power to actually cut through the bullshit and make something happen. But only if it wants to, and it's all about prioritising, right? Equally, it can use its size and the overwhelming burden of bureaucracy to stop a project in its tracks for decades, But no longer will the North face those barriers, which has sat it on its arse for decades, locked out, locked away from almost the wider economic debate in New Zealand. I firstly want to name some people and say congratulations. This Northern Expressway is happening now, fundamentally because of these people: Shane Jones, Winston Peters, Chris Bishop, Simeon Brown, and the change of government. 3 bidders have today been confirmed. 1 will be picked by the end of the year, and they will next year, in election year, crucially start work on connecting the motorway north of Auckland through Warkworth up to Whangarei. It is a massive deal. They're using the fast-track law passed by New Zealand First and Shane Jones. Understand the nuances here. Election year. Nationals out there doing something? Yes. Labour say, no. Nationals Wellington-based Transport Minister Chris Bishop has his eyes wide open. He's not some small-minded parochial git who considers it a holiday highway for the rich to get to their batches. That's the politics of envy, and that's how Labour described the first part of the project that's already completed. Now, who would repeal that motorway? They still oppose this project. They claim the cost is unknown. That's true. They claim it will blow out. Entirely possible. And they want alternatives looked at. What alternatives? The train to Whangarei? Isaac, I'll see you on the train to Whangarei. Bugger it, we've been looking at this. Yeah, save me a seat. Yeah, I'll be on the horse and cart. There's going to be flying vehicles. Flying pigs. We've been looking at this since I was a kid. Every white cross on the side of the road, north of Auckland, tells a story. The awful Bryn-Derwyns will finally be bypassed. It's a horror hill. I think about the 1963 Bryn-Derwyn bus accident every time I go around the first corner heading north. The crash occurred on the day after Waitangi Day. This is crucial, 7th of February, 1963. A bus rolled down a slope in the Bryn-Derwyn Range, killing 15 people. The last corner, or the last corner coming down, the first corner going up. To date, it is the deadliest road accident in New Zealand. 1963 Waitangi Day celebrations in Waitangi. 1963. I know it's well before most of our time. And it had been attended by the Queen Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh. Phil, he was there. A bus was chartered by the Māori Affairs Department to carry 35 passengers to and from the celebrations. All the passengers were Māori from the wider Auckland area, mainly from Ngāti Whātua or Kaipara, iwi. So we're talking about Māngere and Onehunga, places like that. Some were part of a Kabahaka delegation that performed for the Queen. So they did all this. The bus was owned by Waikato Services, driven by a 46-year-old man called Harold Parker. The accident occurred after 1 p.m, the day after Waitangi Day, when the bus had just finished a break at the summit of the Bryn-Derwyns, and it started to come down the hill, southern face of the hill, and the brakes failed. And Parker attempted to steer the bus. He got it all the way down through the Bryn-Derwyn Pass, and the bus left the road on the final bend of the hill, plummeting about 30 metres down the valley of the Pidoa stream. The Snelling family, who owned a farm nearby, they heard the accident. They were first to reach the wreckage. 14 people killed on impact. Another person later died from their injuries. 15 people dead. The remaining 21 injured were taken to Whangarei Hospital by 3 o'clock that afternoon. Following the accident, the Queen heard about it. She sent a message of condolence to the Prime Minister, who was Keith Holyoake at the time, asking him to, quote, convey Prince Philip and I sympathy to the injured and the next of kin of those who have lost their lives in the bus. A commission of inquiry they stayed up that and looked at the bus brakes, and the brakes changed, all that sort of thing. But the road was a dog. The communities of Onehunga and Māngere were strongly impacted by the accident. Many of the passengers were from South Auckland. And tangi were held at Onehunga, which were attended by Keith Holyoake, Prime Minister, Opposition Leader Walter Nash. Seeing the difficulty that the communities had in arranging all these tangi, the government and the opposition agreed to co-fund the marae in the area. That led to the construction of Te Puia Memorial Marae in Māngere Bridge, still there today. Opened in 1965. That's why that was built. 60 years later, perhaps in the memory of these people, a decent, survivable modern highway is finally being constructed. Does Labour know the history of the bus crash? And if they did, would they still be opposing this? This is the seats that they fight for. So to this government, well done for actually doing this. It's an embarrassment that we've left it this long. It takes balls to commit to something so big. It's not universally popular. Costs are massive and unknown. Ministers are adamant fast-tracking will save time and countless millions in the process. It will. Simeon Brown's been instrumental in streamlining the process and cutting red tape and making it happen. These politicians should do this shit for us all the time. They should serve us like this. Find the quickest way to get something done and get it done. Time is up for excuses. We're sick of the delays. We're sick of talk fest and, I was going to say, effing reports. We're over it. 60 years since those people died at the bottom of that hill. And now we're going to do it. We're over the workshops and the think tanks and the unlikely alternatives like, what's the alternative? What's Labour got? We don't have the population or the history or the environmental culture of taking trains through Northland. It's fanciful. It's total nonsense. I'm getting the train to Kaitaia. Said no one ever. The road, once fully completed, is estimated to be one of New Zealand's most expensive infrastructure projects, with the Infrastructure Commission estimating the project will consume $1 in every 10 spent by the government on infrastructure over the next 25 years. So it's going to consume the money. The Prime Minister's Investment Summit has also been pivotal in getting the right heads in the right room at the right time. I've been critical of Luxon. Said he's a bit of a goose over the time, but credit where it's due on this. He was the right man at the right time to get the people in the room. This government's been crucially open to changing laws and ways of delivery to speed this up. And at every step, Labour and the Greens, imbeciles, have opposed it. Change is not always easy. And as the first sod gets turned late next year, voters will be going to the polls. If they really don't support this, they can always send a message to Wellington and overwhelmingly demand Labour, Greens and Te Pāti Māori stop it in its tracks. Something tells me the opposite will take place. But this is democracy, and the option is there should people feel so strongly. As Shane Jones says, drill baby drill, well, I say build baby build, because you've got to get on with it. It's been far, far too long.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.